So the question is, and so the big question is, you're looking for investors. How many have come and visited your headquarters or your factory or your farm or wherever you do your business? How many have actually seen what you do firsthand? Not you going to them, sitting in the office, but them actually coming and seeing what your company looks like. And even if there wasn't a pandemic, right, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of investors in Africa. How many are going to get on the airplane and fly over to your country and drive out to where you are? And the answer is very few. So it's really important when you think about what investors want when they invest. Well, they want to see what they're investing in. They want to know the team, not just you, not just the founder, but they want to see and meet the whole team. They want to build some trust around you and your team and what you're doing. And they want to see that odds of success in person. They want to see what's going to make you succeed. They want to see what you're missing. And they see that firsthand by actually visually seeing it. Right? And so how do you build that trust in a world where travel is not possible in the normal pattern right now, right? Or it's very limited. And how do you build that in a world where the investors are global? So even when the pandemic goes away, even when we're past all this and we're back to the normal life, whatever normal is, you still have the fact that your investors are global. Your investors are based in the US, they're based in Europe, they're based in Asia, and a few in Africa. And yet you are stuck trying to explain who you are and what you are. And so the answer to that is, if they're not going to come to you, you got to go to them. And since you can't bring your factory, you can't bring your farm to them, right? You can bring yourself. That's not good enough. You got to bring your whole team and your whole operations to them. And so the answer to that is a video, right? Go to them and show off what you're doing in a virtual fashion. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at a few of these videos that got shot. And we're going to start with my friend Joffrey here. And so to do this, I have a way to stream this cleanly across Zoom. So don't go into gallery view, go into speaker view. And then my video is going to switch over to be a video. And here we go.
In Uganda, 90% of the energy in Uganda is got from biomass. Here we go. You're welcome, Flays. It's very nice for Flays to reach Uganda, Papoli. We are very happy. Together with all our members, we are here to receive Flays. We are in Papoli, part of Tororo. It's in part of Tororo district, Eastern Uganda. It is along the main road going to Kenya, and this is the same route that goes to Congo, goes to Rwanda. So we are privileged that our members of Papoli Farmers Association and the members of Green Chapel Uganda.
Oh, okay, how many members are there?
We are 30 members. They raise turkeys and they carbonize agricultural waste and for making briquettes. Because 100 years ago, this was a forest. This was a very thick forest. We had every type of wild animals here. There were elephants, there were giraffes, and there were all the type of wild animals. But because of deforestation, the situation is now different. You can now see 10 miles away because all the trees have been cut down. The urban part of Uganda depends on charcoal from the rural arrangement. We are now thinking of using agricultural waste to produce charcoal. So our members carbonize the agricultural waste and bring to our factory where we change it into briquettes, which replaces charcoal.
Some people haven't seen your talk. So when you say agricultural waste, what waste?
Yeah, we carbonize maize cobs, rice husks, palm kernel husks, and granite husks. several other agricultural wastes which are available. From here now, what we need is a batter and then mixing it, and then we come out with the briquette. This is the palm kernel. The palm kernel. The fruits, it has fruits, but the fruits has already been used. So when we crack this fruit, this kernel, we get the nut and husks. So the husks, we use it for making briquette, and then in the nut, we roast it and squeeze it. We get oil, and then the cake we can sell it to dairy farmers. Several uses, but at the moment it is regarded as a waste in Western Uganda. So through Fledge, we are trying to develop and bring this waste to add value to this waste. The palm kernel.
How much of your time do you spend on turkeys, and how much time do you spend?
The farmers, like charring the material, charring does not take time. You can do most things concurrently, because after putting the machines in the local carbonizers, it takes like 6 hours for it to get ready. So within that time, you can be doing other work.
And so when you put, it's a terrible place to do an interview. How far are we walking?
Just where that car is, then we branch just a short distance. Yes.
Okay, when you fill one of those barrels with ag waste,
Yes.
how much how full is the barrel when it's done charring?
Yeah, when we fill it, we get like 30 kgs of the char. So that 30 kgs, we pay the farmer in Uganda shillings around 100 shillings. So
what's that in dollars?
So it comes to around $1 from 1 drum. So if he has 10 drums, that is like $10. And
which he otherwise would have burned on his farm.
Yeah. So here in Uganda, for most people do manual work in order to earn a living, but you'll find that the whole day he can be paid less than $2. Mm-hmm. Maybe it can be paid $1.50. So when he chars the materials, he can do charring the material. Meanwhile, he's attending to his other projects.
So how did you become the person who's organizing this group?
Yeah, once you have a problem, your mind begins to struggle to get a solution. So when I got the solution, I realized that I cannot do everything alone. So I had to bring in my community, because we need a char. We need a char of around 5 tons per day. Okay. So that is why there are commercial carbonizers, but those commercial carbonizers would mean that I concentrate everything in my place. But when we make these locally made carbonizers, and then the carbonizing is done outside, you find that first of all, the villagers are getting income, and at the same time, they are trying to do for me the most difficult work, which is carbonizing. Then I do the rest of molding it into and then marketing. These are our carbonizers. In this particular case, we use these are granite kernels. Okay. Oh, I can say granite husks. Oh, maybe peanut. In American English, it's peanut. In British English, it's called groundnut. So these are the kernels for the groundnut. We carbon it by putting it in that drum. We regulate the amount of oxygen which is going inside, so that it is just partly burnt or partly charred. So that only the volatile part of the material is burnt out.
How do you control that?
So sorry?
How do you control the level?
Yeah, we control it by making the small holes in the depending on the material which we are going to carbonize. When we are going to carbonize maize cobs or corn cob, we put fewer holes because already the airspace is big. So when you are carbonizing rice husks, you have to reduce to increase the holes because the material is compact. So that now the process takes place here in air called pyrolysis.
Right.
In pyrolysis, the material is burnt under heated oxygen. So under that, the carbon only burns the what the only volatile materials are burnt. Then what remains is carbon.
When you said holes, you fill in some of the holes when you need fewer holes, or do you have different barrels?
So we make different barrels for different materials.
Okay. And what am I looking at in the back behind you?
Sorry?
What's the building behind you?
So the buildings behind there, the one on the other end is supposed to be for the a briquette factory, and the one this way here is for the oil mill and for the decortication of the palm kernel.
Okay. So how much money are you going to invest to finish the buildings?
Okay, in dollars needs like $20,000 so that the factory can start working. We need to buy iron sheets, and then we need to clear our machines. We brought the machines in Malaba in June, but we had discussed with we made inquiries from Revenue Authority, and they told us that they can defer our tax, so that when we start operation, that's when we shall be paying. But when the materials came, they refused and said we have to clear their.
So it's still sitting at the border?
Yes, it is at the border, just some few kilometers from here. And then we also discussed with the Uganda Energy Capitalization Company, and they had agreed to extend to us credit for power extension. So when we approached them, they referred us to the bank. When we went to the bank declined. They said they don't give loan to
the power's right there.
Yeah, so we had part of the money we had to use it for connecting power, thinking that we are going to get that money from the bank and clear our materials and we start working. Okay. But things failed out.
All right, so we'll have to fix that.
Yes, yeah, it's very important. So for the last 4 months, the machines have been idle, everything has been idle, and it's really disappointing. We have tried to move. We went to the Minister of Energy, we went Minister of Environment. We tried to explain to them our issues, but they are just shrugging us off, and they don't see the value what we are adding. And yet in Uganda, 90% of the energy in Uganda is got from biomass. Only 1% is from electricity. In Uganda, like in our village here, most people only use electricity for charging phones. The rest of the other thing is biomass.
Maybe we should just make electricity from biomass.
It is something, it has come in my mind to do that, but maybe at the later time.
Okay, last question before we get away from these hot things. Yeah. Let's get away from these hot things.
Yeah.
When they bring biomass here,
yes.
Right, when the farmers are doing that, how does it physically get here?
No, the biomass, each farmer carbonizes their home. I have just brought that biomass for demonstration.
And then when you're selling the briquettes, how do you transport the briquettes? Do you have a vehicle here?
There are a lot of motorcycles, and we are along the main road, so it is easier for us. We would not wish to fix our capital on equipment which we can still hire.
My name is Asante Moses,
The one in charge of
mechanical maintenance and machine maintenance. I'm a technician. I'm called Yomac. I deal with electronics and electrical.
This is the machine we acquired from the funds we are given from Pledge. Then the other components we steward from the loan from Jeremy Chaffa.
All right. So yes, it was a little bit long, and I saw that in the chat window. That was 11 minutes and change, about 12 minutes in total. Yours does not have to be that long. I'll talk about that in a second here. But that is an example of a full site visit video. So not just a little promotional video but a video that brings you to that site and talks about the whole company, everything they do. We only got a teeny bit of a taste of the team, but we got a taste of the environment, about where they're working. We got a walk around. We had the founder here telling us the background story and other pieces. So this was more of a full length story here. I do want to point out, this is a screenshot from yesterday. And as of yesterday, 912 times this video has been viewed. 912 times. And okay, I've watched it maybe 12 times. So 900 people have seen this video. The place you were in this video was Tororo, Uganda, which is eastern Uganda, the county next to Kenya, 6-hour drive on that highway to Kampala, 5-hour drive the other direction to Kisumu, Kenya. It's a long way from anything. This is not a hotbed spot in Africa. This is an out of the way place. So the odds of anybody going to visit this company are really low, right? Even investors. I happen to have a week free after the Land Accelerator last time, and I purposely went out all the way out there just to go see this. All right, so 900 times in it's now what, 2 years? Not even 2 years since September. And yes, it was 12 minutes long. A typical YouTuber will only sit and watch 5 or 10 minutes, right? More like 5 minutes. And so the comment in the chat window was kind of timely. That was at like minute 5 or 6, asking, why is this so long? Right? That's kind of the attention span of the typical viewer. And so if you want your video to be watched more, make it shorter, make it 5 minutes. It definitely doesn't have to go past 10 minutes. This is just a wee bit long, but I'm the one who edited this and I wanted to show it off. So I made it a little bit extra long. In terms of how you make one of these, it's very important about the style of these videos. So as you noticed, this was not slick. This does not look like an advertisement at all. Right? This looks like some guy with a camera was walking along and chatting with Joffrey. Right? So no fancy equipment, no fancy phone, no fancy cameras. We didn't have a script. We didn't talk ahead of time about videoing this. I told them I would bring my camera, but I didn't tell them what to say. So the actual video you saw was not in the order of what was said. You know, some of those scenes were before other scenes that got moved around in the editing process. There was no rehearsal. We didn't say, hey, here's what I'm going to ask you. Let's talk about the answer. It was just shot. It was just me showing up on that farm, talking to the founder and a few other people. And he has 2 companies, and there's another video from the other company. There's another 8 minutes of video from this trip. The aim of these videos, at least my aim for what I expect from people, is the word authentic is the word everyone's using these days. It should feel like you're there, right? So you can hear me. You don't see me because I'm behind the camera, but you can hear me asking questions, because literally that's what I do when I show up. That's what a visitor does when they show up. They ask questions. So it should just feel like, you know, 2 people are there. You could have a third person with a camera trying to shoot that, and you'll see a version of that in a few minutes. But it should just feel like a tour. It should just feel like you just showed up at the property, and let me take you on a tour. There's a whole bunch more examples sitting on the Fledge website. So to do this, you literally just use a phone, and I actually highly suggest you use your smartphone or someone else's smartphone if you don't have one, instead of a camera, instead of a standalone camera, because what the smartphone does that the cameras don't do is they take away all the jiggles. So you can saw the video was pretty smooth, right? It wasn't jiggling around as I walked. The smartphone did all that for me. It just made a nice, clean video. And I just literally showed up, and I had my camera rolling when we drove in, and the people were really making that noise. They're really excited that I showed up, right? This Muzunga flew all the way out to Uganda. And so that was the real welcome, right? We didn't stage any of that. And then I just literally walked around, and he did a little tour, and then I put that all together. The actual amount of video that I shot, the actual tour was like an hour and a half, and I had the camera on for about half that time. So I shot maybe 45 minutes, maybe even an hour of video. And then later, when I went back to my hotel room, I edited it down. So then I watched the whole thing again and I cut it into pieces and I turned it into the video you saw. And if I really wanted to make a 5-minute version of that, I would just cut it down further. I'd just take out certain parts that were more important than other parts, shrink it down to 5 minutes. There was no music. There was no title. There was nothing telling you this is green charcoal Uganda. That's just in the title of the video. There's no words on the screen. There's no special effects. There's some fades, and that's about it. And then I just posted on YouTube. So we have a following on YouTube. I think I posted this on Facebook, but you can upload these things to Facebook as well. That's how you get them out. That's how you get 900 views. You post them around and tell people about it. So again, smartphones have great cameras these days, and they get rid of all the jiggling. And in fact, the quality of the actual camera is better than almost every camera you can have. So I spent $500 on a camera a few years back, about 5 years ago. It's a nice camera. It just doesn't take as good of pictures or videos as my smartphone does anymore. I actually don't even know where the camera is. I don't use it anymore. In terms of that walkthrough, the feeling you have, the way you get that walkthrough feeling of being there is called first person. So the person behind the camera should be the person who's in charge of the video, right? So if you're going to probably be the talent, you're going to be the one answering the questions. Find someone who you trust to be the audience, and what they see through the camera, that's really what's going to be seen by the audience. But the way that they're coming through the place, their first person view of the place, that's really important. Again, don't rehearse it, right? Don't say, okay, we'll do this and this and this. Just do it. Just shoot it. Take an hour, shoot the whole thing, and then you edit it later. And if something goes wrong, like ideally edit it the same day. That way, if something goes terribly wrong and you have to shoot it again or the next day, just wear the same clothes the next day and shoot a filler piece to fill in something that went wrong. It's important when you're shooting this with a smartphone that you actually speak to the camera. There was a small part of this where we were walking down the road and Joffrey was off on my right and you couldn't quite hear him really clearly. That's because it's a phone. And so it only really picks up the sound if you're speaking toward it. So you got to stop every once in a while. And if you're going to speak, you got to speak to the camera, which is always good practice anyway. You want the person to see you. If you want any part with a voiceover, you just literally just speak to the camera and then shoot the other part later. He used the word fledge a lot. So fledge is the name of my accelerator. I made sure he didn't call me loony in the video, right? He's not talking to me in that video. He is physically, but he's talking to the entire internet, right? So he should just be talking to the world and just saying you. That would be the better way to do it. I corrected him a few times off camera, but he just kept saying fledge. And then again, you're going to shoot about at least 45 minutes to make a 5-minute video, right? Maybe an hour and a half. Most of what you shoot is not going to be good. Most of what you shoot is going to be thrown away. The trick here is to shoot enough video that there's 5 minutes of good stuff. And sometimes there's 10 minutes of good stuff or 15 minutes. You can actually make more than one video. And if you go to the Fledge YouTube channel, which you should, to see more of these, you'll see that some of the videos have a 20-minute version and a 5-minute version. And sometimes there's just a little snippet that's better in the 5-minute video that didn't make it in the longer video. It's not always that the 20-minute or the 15-minute just got cut down itself. It might be that there's some other piece that got brought in. All right, so let's look at one more. This one's a little shorter. This one was not shot by me. This one was shot, it also happens to be Uganda. This one was shot by the company. It was done late last year. I think he says 2020 in here. And so I'll stop sharing. And this is a slightly different style. So we're going to see a different style and then compare and contrast.
Welcome. So we're in the field, and I'm with Joffrey. one of the farmers that we started with in 2017. Juma came in as a farmer and started doing half an acre of land, went to 1 acre of land, and is now doing 3 acres of land with massive success stories. As one of the pioneer farmers that we started with, we had to upgrade him to being an agent first, and then he also was promoted to be coordinators for agents. The local variety of seed, he used to get like 100 to 150 kilos. But right now, he's getting between 1,500 to 2,500 kilos. That is why he started scaling his farming venture. Up to now, he's very happy to be working with AgroSupply as an agent because he has seen a little bit of development. Veronica Kello also joined AgroSupply in 2018. Before she joined AgroSupply, she didn't used to have even the garden. She was farming together with her husband. Before joining AgroSupply, she really didn't know how to keep money after investing her crop. So she joined AgroSupply to do her husband and started saving her own money to invest in agriculture. So right now, she's saving her own money, buying her own input, and having her own garden, like you can see. She has her own cows that she bought by her own money. Now she has her own house, their house, her and her husband as well. So this is Veronica's home. 2 of them actually right now. When I came here, it was only one. Now she has another one. This is her pickers and where she's keeping it. She bought the picker. She started the project in 2019 last year. She's called Team Lillian. Lillian is under Geoffrey. So Lillian is a widow. We found her in 2018. Good enough, her husband had left her some land, but she wasn't having money to buy input. So Geoffrey introduced her to AgroSupply, and she started saving. She planted about 3 acres, and she has built a house which is somewhere there as a widow. She has a permanent house. So Joma, what changes have you seen in Lillian ever since you started working with her? She used to do farming in a very small area. She was a poor person. But ever since she joined AgroSupply, after Joma selling the idea to her, she has now started doing agriculture as a business. So this is Moses Ukello, farmer number 3,313. We want to introduce sunflower to add on top of the maize, the sorghum, the soybean that we're doing. So we're doing a little bit of demonstration on the variety of seeds that can perform very well and farmers can adapt to very well. But Moses has this as a demonstration for sunflower for him himself, and took a little bit of sunflower seed, and also has his maize seed, which is here, about 3 acres of land from the other side, going the other side.
I save my money with AgroSupply, which helped me sometimes to get seed in time. Like those days when I have not yet joined AgroSupply, I used to get some difficulties in getting seeds, and some seasons bypass me. But nowadays, I'm okay.
So Ponsel joined as a young person that was looking for a job, so we employed him as an agent, but at the same time, he's also saving and doing farming. He was a youth, he wasn't even having a wife. He studied, then unfortunately the father could not afford education anymore, so he stopped on the way. That is when AgroSupply picked him and gave him some knowledge on how to do agriculture, and that is why he's helping farmers. Afterward, he was promoted to be an agent. He didn't refuse. He got things. He got a lot of money from farming. Now he has a wife. That is one thing. You after getting the wife, he has also given his wife the knowledge that he has. So they are now doing farming together as a family, him together with the wife. Now Ponciano has a bike as well. He's also having pig garden. Unfortunately, I don't see his pigs around. He also has solar, which I can see it outside there. He's also having chicken. He started having some challenges as being an agent. First of all, farmers were not having knowledge. Even up to now, not so many of them have a lot of knowledge, even if you talk to them. A network is also a second problem. You come closer so we can see you. Transport is also a problem. Market is also a problem which agro supplier solved because we get for you market. Yeah. Then they also had a weed that used to disturb them, but now it seems like they have gotten good seeds that are resistant to those diseases. But all in all, everything has challenges. So those are some of the challenges and advantages that he has with it. That is all about Ponciano and his success story on his garden and how he's doing. Thank you so much.
All right, so there's a, I call that a pretty big difference between that and the Joffrey video. The huge differences you should notice is this one has 3 people, one behind the camera who's totally silent, just moving the camera around. The CEO, his name's Joseph. I don't even think he introduced himself. And he's interviewing the farmers. And so in this case, we haven't seen the headquarters of Agro Supply. We haven't even seen a bag of seed. We're seeing crops, right? So this is a company that sells seeds. And it's really for them all about the farming community that buys from them. And so Joseph went out and he interviewed 5 farmers. This is somewhere in northern Uganda. He interviewed each one for like 15 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. He sent me all the raw video. I did the edit on this. There was a very large amount of interview questions. He asked pretty much the same questions of everyone. And so in part of the editing process of this particular video was to not have the same answers over and over again, to have them be different for each person. And again, this is not supposed to be some really quick commercial. This is not supposed to be a slick commercial showing off Agro Supply and how easy it is. It's supposed to be an authentic video so you can get a feel of what it's like to be a farmer in Uganda working with this company. And you might take this for granted. You might work with farmers all the time in your business. We don't. We the investors, which is who this is targeted for, we the investors are not farmers. We didn't grow up on a farm. We don't know farmers. Almost no one in the United States is a farmer, and same in Europe. It's like 1% of the population is farming now. And so we don't walk around in a maize field very often, right? We don't know what the challenges are of growing food. And so getting down to this level of like, let's just chat with some farmers. That's novelty for us. That's interesting to us. I love the fact that he did this in the maize field. He did this. The crackling was not great. It was not great for the sound, but being out in the field was the right place to do this, right? And walking through their property, he should have turned around and talked to the camera, but walking through the property, like showing off their house and their piggery and the solar, like that was awesome. That was that authentic feel that I was looking for on, okay, show me what it's like to be there. All right, so again, you're going to shoot a lot of video. It's totally fine when you're doing that, is if you don't like the way your answer came out. If someone asks you a question or you're just trying to present something off the top of your head and you don't like the way it worked the first time, okay, just stop and do it again. Don't stop the camera. Just keep the camera rolling. Just take a deep breath and just repeat it again. Anytime you don't like what you say or anytime you think you can say it in a better way, just stop and repeat. And again, you're going to edit this video. You're not going to send out the raw video. And so you just edit out the first take and you put in the second take. Sometimes what I find is that this happened a lot in the first one I ever did. The host would talk and talk and talk and say a lot of interesting things, but it would take him or her like 5 minutes to explain what was going on in that one spot. And so, or, they would monologue for 2 or 3 minutes, but there would just be 1 or 2 sentences in there that were really interesting. And so while I was, holding the camera, listening to the person speaking, I would be actively listening to what they said. And I would say, you know what, you said, whatever. Why don't you just stop, take a breath, and repeat that to the camera? And sometimes we would do that as we were walking along. So as we walk through the facility, the camera's not on, we're just chatting. And sometimes they said something interesting. And I said, oh, okay, let's get that on film. And we just stopped and I turned on the camera and I faced the host. And then they said whatever they wanted, whatever I told them to say, or the type of thing I told them to say. And then we moved on, right? So a lot of the directing and a lot of the content just happens on the fly. All right, next thing you should do to make these things more interesting is shoot what's called B-roll. So it's really subtle in that last agri-supply video. But when we're looking at the solar, that is not actually the moment in time on the video when they're talking about the solar. So in the editing process, we grab the solar video and we put it on top of the video where they're talking to each other. It just saves time. It makes the same thing happened in the green charcoal Uganda video for just a moment. There was a moment in time when Joffrey was talking, but we were looking at ag waste. And so these little snippets of sights and sounds and materials and machines and whatnot, where you can show that as the video, but the audio comes from some other part of the video, it makes for a more interesting video. And it makes for really good transitions if you have a longer video. So shoot some of that too and throw that in as well. All right, we're going to do one more really quickly here. This one's only 52 seconds long. It's a very different style. Let me grab that.
You're gonna get it done by tomorrow. Tomorrow. You promise? I promise I'll bring it. Akia Mungu. Yeah. You're doing actually perfect. So you see, half the charcoal.
But it is been just exactly like the one I've been using.
Yeah. Even with the half charcoal, right?
Yeah, even if it's
with the less charcoal.
Yeah.
So it's actually just as effective as
The full
one. Yeah. So that's what we want. Less charcoal means more money in your pocket, right, Dorian?
Yeah.
That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so keep. I'll be back.
Okay.
And delicious. By the way, you are one of the best cook I've seen in the area too. I sincerely. So I'll be back.
All right, so that's my friend Yusuf from Ethiopia, and he was visiting Kenya when he shot those videos. And so what Yusuf's been doing, he was doing some research in Kenya, and every week or so, he was sending me a video straight off his camera. And this is an important thing to understand. A lot of you use WhatsApp or Instagram or Snapchat or another app on your phone. And so you're used to holding the phone like this and shooting videos vertically. I am used to using a PC. I'm used to watching YouTube, and the videos are shot with the camera facing the other way. The camera's facing wide landscape. And so the problem is when I have these tall, skinny videos that Yusuf sends me, I can't put them up on YouTube all by themselves, because then it's just this vertical slice with all the black and it looks terrible. So I took 3 snippets of 3 of the videos he sent, and I literally just threw them together like that. And my intent is, as he sends more and more of these, we'll just have them play in, there'll be 6 or 7 of these. It'll be a 5-minute video at some point, right? Or maybe 8 or 9 of these. But these are totally authentic. This is just Yusuf being Yusuf, chatting with people. And I just wanted to show off, the artisans making the stoves. And then he was we call it kibitzing with the first customer of the stove in Kenya. That's literally the first customer, and just his conversation with her lasted like, it was a 3 or 4 minute video. I just grabbed the highlight of it. All right, so let's talk about editing. Let's talk about how you get from 45 minutes down to 5. So you need some video editing software. Now, you can't do it without it. There's a lot of choices out there. So if you have it, you're going to need probably going to need a notebook for this. You can do it on your phone. There is software built into the Android phones and the Apple phones for editing, but it's a lot easier to do it on a PC. So just expect that you're going to have to go and get a PC or borrow a PC. Some of this software is costs money, but there is a ton of free editing software out there. And just search for free video editing software, you'll find it. Here's a list of the best ones I know of. What you do is you grab all the videos, you throw them in the editing software, just all in a row, and you start it in the order that you shot them in, and then you start at the beginning, and you trim off anything that looks like it doesn't need to be there. You know, so it's pretty obvious, but there's lots of bits and pieces that just aren't needed, like from the time you turn the camera on and before the person starts speaking. You just get rid of all those pieces. So now you have something that's shorter, but it's still too long. Right? So out of 45 minutes, you might get down to 25. Now the next thing you do is you find interesting bits and save those and throw away the less interesting bits. And you keep doing this over and over again until it gets shorter and shorter and shorter until it's the length that you like. That's really how it's done. Right? And occasionally what you'll find is, oh, if I move this piece before that piece, it makes for a more interesting or a more logical flow. So let me go grab that snippet of video and pull it over there. So here's a screenshot of Adobe Premiere, which is the one I use. I think you get 30 days free if you download it. At least you used to get 30 days for free. They're all pretty much the same in terms of style. So the way it's shown is that here is the little snippets of video. So we have the video channel is V and the audio channel is A. And so when you first put the snippets into this system, the video and the audio are all together. Right? So these pink sections, this audio here, you can actually see the waveform of the sound, is that audio for this video here. The colors are you can just change the colors of things. But these little pieces up here are other snippets of video from somewhere else. I said like the B-roll. So these are either still images or these are other snippets of video that I've thrown on top of this video just to make it more interesting. And all these little tiny rectangles you can see are the fades between the videos. If you want to make it more polished, so you saw in the AgroSupply video and the Obama Stove video, you may not have even have noticed there was a logo at the beginning, and there was the same logo at the end, and it just kind of fades in and fades out. It adds a little bit of polish. It makes it look a little more professional. It's not necessary, but it's nice. Same thing about music. Well, if you throw a little music on top of it, it sounds better. It feels more polished, but it's not necessary. Same thing with any graphics. There's ways to throw words on top of the screens, right? We didn't have, hey, this is Toronto, Uganda. We didn't have what's called the bottom third. We didn't have the name of the person show up at the bottom, right? It's all nice. It's good. It's the kind of things you would see on TV. It's not necessary. It's the days of the internet. We're trying to go for authentic. If you go too far, if you keep polishing your video and you add all this stuff to it, then it starts to look like a commercial. It starts to look like a TV commercial as opposed to a site visit video. And again, we're going to spend one more 2-minute segment here watching one more video. This one was shot in Tanzania, and it is a lot more polished. So let me go run over there, grab the last one here.
Women are the leading labor force in agriculture. About 54% of the women in Tanzania depend on agriculture for their survival. That being said, we know African women are hardworking. African women are enterprising, but African women lack economic empowerment. My name is Kamse, a founder and managing director of Golden Pots Limited, that partners with women to eradicate hunger, poverty, and malnutrition with a bag of maize.
My name is Rosa Gemua. I live with my grandchildren, as my children have moved to the city to look for jobs. They sent me money, but it's not enough. I am grateful that I got a job near home, and I use my income with my grandchildren. Our agriculture expert, Mr. Aziz Mwalim, is educating some of the women on how to take care of the crops during this harvest season, so as to maintain quality of the crops and to avoid losses. My name is Margaret Peter. I have been cultivating maize for a long time, but I haven't been making much profit from this crop because of the market. Before, crops middlemen will come with their own prices, but now I'll be working with Golden Pot, and I will keep cultivating and I will add more hectares. Customers love Golden Pot products. They are of good quality, and also the price is reasonable.
So hopefully you can see the or feel the difference between that video and the other three that I showed you, at least the first two. That was a commercial, like that the original video that was sent over that they had edited and done was more like 6 minutes, and it was highly repetitive, and it had that music playing over and over again. Scenes got repeated over and over again and again. I took that and edited it down to 2 minutes. Some of the things you should notice on that video, and there's nothing wrong, just be clear, there's nothing wrong with this video in terms of showing off the company. This is the kind of video you should have on your VC for Africa profile. All right, that's a great video for showing off the company in a very short period of time and getting people interested in knowing more. But it's not the video that replaces the site visit. It's not the video that replaces the idea of someone coming and seeing you in operation, because it doesn't feel authentic. It just feels like you're putting on your best show. Like the fact that that last farmer we saw was dressed in a suit, like she was dressed up. That's not what she's wearing when she's farming. That's what she's wearing when they tell her there's a camera coming to your farm. Look your best. And so the difference between the two styles of video is looking like you normally do and showing off what life is like versus looking your best and faking it. And so this video, the other thing this one had, besides the polish of the bottom third and the music and all that, was that there was a lot of times when the speaker was speaking, but we were seeing other snippets of video. It had a really fast pace to the, in 2 minutes, it had a lot of different snippets of video in there. Most of that was not me. Most of that was the way they had edited it in the first place. But it was actually shot. The way it was created was it was a camera probably sitting on a tripod facing Heike, who was behind the desk speaking. Right now, I could tell from the video it was a very high quality camera. It wasn't a smartphone. And so she spoke for 5 or 6 minutes. There's a whole monologue that she did for 5 or 6 minutes. And in this video, the way it was edited was you kept seeing snippets of other things going on instead of just watching her speak for 5 or 6 minutes. And her 5 or 6 minutes got shortened down to like 30 seconds. So just the best of whatever she said was put in there, and a couple of video snippets. And then we move on. We want to really see the farmers in this case again. All right, and lastly, as you get to the point where once it's edited, you need to render it. This is something a lot of people don't understand. The way that the video comes off the cameras is in a certain format. It has a certain number of pixels to it, has a certain number of frames per second. You're going to then take your edit, and the software is going to ask you, how do you want to render it is the term. And rendering just means turning it into a file with a certain number of pixels and a certain number of frames per second. I always render into 720p and 25 frames per second. So that means it's 720 pixels tall, which is high definition TV, but not the really high definition. If you go for 1080 is the other standard. It's just a lot bigger. People don't have enough pixels to see it anyway. So I just render it to 720, same as a DVD, 720p. And then the number of frames per second has a bunch of choices to it. I just use 25. That's the standard on YouTube. And it's the same standard that Facebook will play. And then I use an MP4 format. There's lots of formats for what the video looks like. MP4 is a it's a standard out there in the whole space that's not Apple standard or Microsoft standard or Google standard. It's just the world standard. So when you give it and there's in my software, I'm given like 100 choices of how to render. And so that's what I choose. Now you just got to see 4 of these. There's another, it's like 20 now. There's another 16 videos to watch. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. I do suggest that you go and you look through this playlist. Again, you'll get this list. You can just search YouTube for Fledge and it'll find it. Go watch some more of these and see what they're like, and then go replicate one. See the one, pick the one you like the best, and then go do that video for yourself. It does not have to be 21 minutes long. I made long videos on my trip because I had spent 30 hours to get there, and I wanted to remember them in detail. I wanted my friends and my fellow investors to have the experience that I had going all the way out to Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania. And so I didn't want them to have a little, 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute taste. I wanted them to have the 20-minute experience. And then you can watch this. We're actually going to flip to the end of this piece here. You can get some lessons online for video editing. If you just search for Teach Me Video Editing on Google, you'll find lots of classes on how to do that. And if you come to my website and go to the site visit video classroom, right, the site visit video, you'll get the part 1 is mostly what I just covered here. Part 2 will walk you through the video editing software and teach you how to do it. So I'm not going to teach you that live. You can watch that on a video. And with that, I will open it up to questions.
Looney, thank you so much. We put a few of those links in the chat box already, particularly about the site visit video tutorial. So we'll be including that on Mighty Networks as well. As always with the slides, so you can reference it as well, and the recording, because I think this might be useful. But yeah, we definitely want to open it for questions. So anyone who is there, would love if you can unmute yourself and just go for it. And Looney,
good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Ronnie, thank you for the presentation, and Amanda, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Afolabi Abiodun, co-founder of Global Life Farm. Yeah, I just want to find out whether we are also going to present a video clip like this or a PowerPoint slide. That's just what I want to confirm, sir. Thank you.
I didn't quite understand that. Are you going to get a copy of the slides? Yes. That'll get posted.
No. I'm not talking about getting a copy of the slide. I said I want to find out whether we are going to also prepare a video clips like this, or we are going to prepare PowerPoint slides, or we are going to do the two together.
Yes, there will be a pitch deck that is deliverables. But they're two separate. The pitch deck and the video are two separate deliverables, two separate projects. So the video is not you presenting your slide deck. The video is you presenting your company as if it were a site visit. So as you saw, nobody pitched their company. None of these videos was anything like a pitch that I showed you a few weeks ago. That's not the point of this video. This video is about showing off your business as if someone were coming to visit. That is the trick here. right? Using the internet to allow people to visit you without getting on an airplane.
I'm going to ask folks to use the hand figure. So if people can use the hands raising, because I think we see a lot of questions. So next, I will go in this order: Nelson, Mamain, and Legrand. And anyone else, go to the put up your hand feature if possible. Alternatively, you can type your question in the chat box. So Nelson and then Mamain. Nelson.
Thank you, Amanda. Mine was to inquire about the voiceovers. Is it a better option to use a voiceover or subtitles? Which is the best in that sense? Thank you.
Can you define what you mean by voiceover?
I saw certain videos in one of the videos where there was a translation, more of a voiceover of that. Okay. Yes.
So in that case of AgroSupply, the entire sequence, most of the farmers were speaking their native language. And so the video was the farmer speaking, and then Joseph translating it into English, the farmer speaking, Joseph speaking it in English, and it got monotonous. For someone who doesn't speak that language, the video would have been longer and less interesting if we just kept seeing that pattern over and over again. So what I did is, this is all done in the editing software. I simply took the farmer speaking, and that was the video, and then I lowered the volume of them speaking. And then when Joseph was translating in the next few seconds, I grabbed the audio from Joseph translating and I put it on top of the farmer speaking. And so that was simply done in the editing software. And it's monotonous to do, and it's not it takes some time to do that. But that way the video just came across more quickly. In terms of adding subtitles, one reason I love YouTube is that it will automatically add English subtitles or French subtitles to the video. They won't be 100% accurate, but you can go in and fix that. It is useful to have subtitles, even if you're speaking English and you have an English audience. Sometimes the accents are thick enough that it's useful to have the subtitles available. And I haven't found a better way to do that than just post it on YouTube. Go to ask YouTube how to do subtitles and they'll teach you, and then do it inside YouTube as opposed to trying to do it inside the video itself. That's way too much work. I've never done that. That's way too time consuming.
Next question is from, let me see, I covered it up for me. Mamain, I believe. Mamain, are you available? Then we've got Legrand, then Catherine, then Bernard. Mamain, are you available? If we don't hear you, we'll put you after Legrand. Legrand, are you available?
Ok, d'accord.
Oui, je suis dispo. Oui. Merci pour la parole.
Une petite question. Donc, ma question est concernant les vidéos là. Vous savez, nous tous, on ne parle pas le même langage. On a dit une vidéo vraiment qui n'est pas professionnelle, une vidéo qui est simple. Donc, quelle que soit la pertinence de ton projet, quelle que soit la pertinence de ce que tu expliques, si on ne comprend pas ton langage, vraiment, je ne vois pas l'intérêt. Mais est-ce qu'il est possible que avant que, même si on dit que ce n'est pas une vidéo professionnelle, donc pour de faire la vidéo et en même temps, si tu parles français, donc de faire un petit bandeau en bas pour écrire en anglais, pour qu'au moins celui qui t'écoute, s'il ne comprend pas ton langage, donc il peut lire le bandeau là, donc pour comprendre ce que tu dis. Est-ce que c'est possible? Malgré que vous avez dit vraiment ce n'est pas quelque chose qui est professionnel. Mais vous voyez, donc, pour faire ça là, il faut être donc, si on fait, on peut comprendre. Au moins,
Okay,
même si tu ne comprends pas la langue, au moins si tu...
So, I haven't had to deal with this one personally. I think the authenticity is most important. So it definitely suggests you edit your video in French or whatever language you want. Do your video in the language you are most comfortable in. yes, you should then upload it to YouTube, make a YouTube channel if you don't have one, upload it to YouTube, go and add the English, go and add all the subtitles to it, both French and English. And then, if you're trying to reach out to the English speaking investors, then yes, it's probably a good idea to have a second version of the video. So make a copy of that video, make the second version, put the word English in the title afterwards, and then go get someone who you trust, who has a good voice, right? Just local. You don't have to hire anyone off the internet, but just have them go repeat what you're saying in English, and do what I did with the agro supply video, which is just lower the volume of the speakers who are speaking French, and just have the English speaking person just speaking into a microphone. They don't have to be on camera. Just record them speaking into the microphone on whatever translation they've done, and then you just layer that on top of the French video. But you have two versions. When you're on the Fledge website, you'll see the Fledge YouTube channel. You'll see when I was in Malawi, I'd actually shot something that looks like a commercial on purpose, 30-second commercial for a store. And we shot it with a voiceover. The speaker isn't on the camera. We actually shot the voice was completely done in breakfast the next morning with this microphone that I'm speaking into right now. And so we did a 30-second voiceover in English, and it took us like 10 tries until we could get it to be 30 seconds and interesting. And then I had the next founder. He did the same words, but in Chichewa. And so there's two versions of the video up there. One's in English and one's in the most common language in Malawi, which is Chichewa.
Thanks for that question about language, very important. So again, the summary from that is record your video in the language you're most interested in, whether it's French, English, or a local language. And then you can work on the subtitles afterwards. You can work on getting somebody. So after you've finalized your video and you've gotten it down to that 5 minutes, then you can focus on that. And I believe the next person up was Catherine at this point.
Hi. Sorry, I don't have my video on. My internet is quite poor. Hope you can hear me. I guess my main question is, and I've seen a few people kind of asking the same thing. Who would you show this to? Because I've made a lot of, short little clips with my phone and kind of made them in the style of the second video. And I've always gotten the feedback that it's horrible quality, it's unprofessional, like it needs to be way more polished than just a, simple phone video. So who would you say is someone we would be showing this video to?
Who is telling you that? Who is telling you you're doing the wrong thing?
Investors here in Zambia, other businesses here in Zambia. I mean, it's almost always my feedback. If it's anything I've taken from my phone, they say it needs to be better quality. This looks like, it needs to be higher quality.
Yeah, well, it can always be, just be clear, it can always be higher quality. Like even a low budget Hollywood film could be higher quality. But that doesn't make it, all right, so the answer to your question is, I think this is what investors need in order to replace the site visits. And as a lot of the investors have experienced over the last year, we didn't get to do any travel. We didn't get to see anybody in person. And to me, and it's my opinion, the Golden Pot video doesn't do it. The Golden Pot video shows that they spent some money on video production. Doesn't show me what it's like at their facility. Doesn't show me what it's like to be a farmer in their network. Whereas the agro supply video, which is a way lower quality, does in fact get me into the farms of 5 farmers. Right. So I think you're going to get different opinions from different people, but I think the authentic style is what's going to get you the good investors. Right? It may not get you the most. It may be a difference between the Acumens of the world and the smaller investors of the world. And so I could totally see that Acumen would never want to put one of these handmade videos up on their website. Right? That's not going to make them look like they're investing in the best and the brightest. But these handmade videos may get them interested enough to talk to you. That's really what the point is to get something up that that again replaces the part where they come and visit you and gets them deep enough that they want to talk about details about your business, right? So kind of the flow should be you should have a pretty slick 2-minute video that's sitting up on VC for Africa that gets people who want to know more about your company. And then when they want to know more about your company, you should have the 5 or 10 minute, site visit video where they can go deeper. I think maybe that's where the difference is. Maybe the investors are expecting that first little quick video. It's kind of the difference between the 10-slide pitch deck and the much deeper business plan that you may or may not have. Investors don't want to see the details of a 20-page business plan just to find out whether or not your company is worth talking to. They want the 10-slide pitch deck, and they want that 10-slide pitch deck to be nice and high level and slick and easy to consume. But as soon as they're happy with that, then they want to go deep and they want to see the guts of the company and see what's wrong with it and all the rest of it. So the videos that I'm touting here are the guts.
So I think that that's interesting, Looney, because people might think then, well, if they want to see the 2-minute video, we should give them the 2-minute video. Why are we making the 5-minute video right here? So I wonder if you could have a response to that possible question. Yeah. So in the application process for Fledge, we ask for a 2-minute video, and so I'm flooded with 2-minute videos. 9 years ago, when Fledge was new, all those videos were just shot on a cell phone. They were just somebody speaking to the camera. And then starting like 4 or 5 years ago, they all started to be slick commercial-like videos. So I'm used to seeing 2-minute videos. I'm used to seeing the golden pot-like videos, and I'll tell you, they don't do anything for me. They don't tell me anything. They tell me how much you decided to spend on a video. They don't tell me anything about the quality of the company themselves. And so I usually don't even, I might flip it on for 10 or 15 seconds just to see the entrepreneur, see them face to face while I'm reviewing their words. But it doesn't actually get me excited about the company anymore because it's just a commercial. I don't watch commercials on TV. I pay to not have commercials on YouTube. I don't want commercials. I want to actually see the real thing. And so I'm not going to sit and watch a 10-minute video from 800 applicants. But when I've narrowed it down to 30 applicants, yeah, then I want to see the 20-minute video about each of those applicants. I want to know them for real. So this could be the difference between, on the surface, what the investors want to show their investors versus what's really needed to go get an investment. Remember, every investor out there, with rare exception, has their own investors. They're selling their fund out to other investors, and they want it to look as professional and slick as possible, right? Because those investors aren't interested in the details. Those investors are only interested in the high level, professionalism. I think that was just fantastic answer. And so I think that looks like that was also Falk's question he had in the chat box. And we still do have time for a few more questions as well. So I saw Bernard has had his hand up for a while. Bernard, if you're hearing me, would you be able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, my question has largely been answered by Rooney, but I would add, if you are given 2 minutes, and an investor generally would want to know about your company, is it authentic or light to ask them what do they want to know? Because you might not be able to present your company in 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, 2 minutes isn't enough to present even the whole business plan. So for 2 minutes, I would, I have a lesson that I teach in Fledge, which is describe your entire company, the problem and the solution you're working on. Describe them in a paragraph, and it should take you 45 seconds or so to say that paragraph verbally. And once you've figured out how to do in a paragraph, narrow it down to a sentence. And once you can do it in a sentence, figure out what your opening line is out of that sentence. Same thing with, same kind of thing with this process of making things shorter, making your pitch shorter and shorter. For 2 minutes, if that's all they're going to give you, then it's not about pitching your company. It's about being interesting. Literally, I'll say that again. If you're only given a minute or 2 or even 3 minutes to explain what you're doing, it's not about explaining what you're doing. That is the wrong path. It's about being interesting. So when I did the pitch deconstruction, right, the opening line that he used on stage was, access to financial services should be a fundamental human right. That's a provocative opening statement. It's interesting. My favorite is still, African chicken solves poverty and hunger and unemployment with a chicken. Pause and silence and let that settle in. And that's just a really weird statement. It's interesting. And then there's some more lines that come after that if you're going to fill up 2 minutes. But if you're only given 2 minutes, work on being that interesting. Work on saying something at the beginning that catches the attention of the audience and makes them want to stay for the next 2 minutes. We didn't do that in these site visit videos. That's not the point. These videos are for when they already know the company and they want to know more, right? I made these for my Fledge investors and potential co-investors, right? The ones that are so interested in investing in ag in Africa that they are literally sitting on the YouTube channel for Fledge. Like we're not a normal YouTuber. We're not making content every day or every week. We're an obscure little accelerator fund. People are coming to us because they already knew about us from something else and they want to learn more about a company or two.
Well, I think that's fantastic. Samuel, do you have any comments or questions that you might want to add here?
Maybe I want to come in. I think there's a bit confusion, and Looney, you can help us. Somebody is asking what is the difference between a pitch deck and an elevator pitch?
A pitch deck and a what?
An elevator pitch. This should be yeah.
Okay. So pitching is just the word we use to say you're describing your company. The joke goes, how do you know if an entrepreneur is pitching? And the answer is their mouth is moving. Yeah, I hate it. You don't get the laughter when you do this on Zoom. All right, so there's a standard 10, 12, 15 slide pitch deck. That's what I described to you in the deconstructing a pitch session. When we say, when an investor says, hey, send me a copy of your pitch, that's what they mean, right? Or your pitch deck, send me your pitch deck. They're expecting between 10 and 15 slides covering those certain topics that I talked about in that piece. That's just the standard that's out there, and you should have one of those. An elevator pitch, though, the terminology elevator pitch comes from the idea that you are at a conference, you're in the hotel where the conference is taking place, you step into the elevator on the floor where your room is, and lucky for you, an investor stepped into the elevator at the same time, or the investor was already there. They were on a different floor above you. You're both headed down into the conference for the day. You have 30 seconds or 20 seconds. You have the time between your floor and the lobby to pitch your idea to that investor. That is an elevator pitch, right? It could be going up as well. It could be the end of the day. You both step into the elevator. Now you're pressing buttons. You're on floor 7 and they're on floor 19. You got 7 floors to pitch them. What do you say? And so that's where you have to be more interesting. That's where you have to be able to summarize what you do in a very short amount of time. And again, my advice for that is don't try and summarize what you do as much as be interesting. You want to tell them something that makes them want to stop and ask, how's that work? Or make them stop and ask, ooh, tell me more. Like that's the key of an elevator pitch. Here in Seattle, there's There's a blog, a news blog that covers the tech scene in Seattle, the tech startups. And they literally did back when they were younger, way before the pandemic, they did a segment on their website with actual elevator pitches in an elevator without the investor in the room. So they would go to the Space Needle here in Seattle, right? It's a tourist destination, and the elevator takes 45 seconds, and they would invite one entrepreneur per week to do a literal elevator pitch. And you may think this never happens, but lo and behold, in my 5th startup, I was at work. We were on the 9th floor of the office building. I stepped in, and a venture capitalist stepped into the elevator with me. And I took the opportunity and I pitched him in the elevator on the way down. And they wound up about 2 months later investing in the company. So it does in fact happen.
Yes, so always be ready. And now I see we're getting into a few questions about what we're actually doing for our program here and what we're requiring. So maybe I can answer some of those questions right now, which is people are saying, well, what are we doing for the slide deck? What are we doing for the video? So the slide deck is just, you're gonna just upload your presentation, your PowerPoint or your PDF. So that is a part of applying for phase 1. I mean, sorry, not for phase 1, for the $5,000 grants. So let me just see if I can share my screen with you really fast. And this is a document that we're still tightening up. So you'll be getting it on Thursday. But I think everybody's seeing my document now. It's going to be too slow. It's not meant to be read on your phone or anything. So apologies for how small it is, but this is just to share with you that we'll be getting all these points to you that you can refer to on Thursday. And we've got most of them figured out. So I can share them with you now, just in a brief form, and we can go through them more in detail on Thursday and next Tuesday as well. So the first thing is applying for the innovation grant. So there is a $5,000 innovation grant that was a part of this training session that we've been doing for these 12 weeks. I believe this was week number 9, if I'm correct. And so we're going to have the applications open July 1st through 25th, and we'll be reviewing your applications on a rolling basis, but you've got basically all month of July to do it. We're going to most likely get back to you with revisions to be done. So what is this application process like? Really, it's made up of probably 3 things that you need, which first you need to be eligible and have attended at least 75% of the training sessions. So actually, Samuel just has started a leaderboard, which will also be presenting this week or next week. And we had, it looks like, and we got to go through and finalize it, around 90 folks who've attended 6 or more sessions so far. So we've got around 90 of the 100 who look like they're on board for this $5,000 grant. So if you're here on the line right now, chances are you're eligible. So now that you're eligible, we're going to have an application form. It's going to be a Google Doc. So you're used to filling out Google Docs, and it's going to just ask you a few questions. It's going to ask you questions about how you plan to spend that $5,000 to improve your company. So we want you to kind of go back to one of the first topics of our sessions, which is how would you innovate? You know, what kind of innovation would this $5,000 allow you to do? What kind of things can you learn from it? And maybe you know exactly what it is, where you're like, I really want to purchase this kind of equipment, and then that will allow me to do this. And I think that I'll be able to produce double the amount of seeds and sell it, you know. So we just want you to speak through that to us, you know, just share what you're going to spend the $5,000 on and how it's going to help you. So it's actually a very straightforward process. But the other thing that's a part of that is that you can upload your slide deck to the form. So we're not requiring you to read your deck or your presentation or make a video for this to be eligible for this $5,000 grant, but we are requiring you to upload your slide deck because we want you all to walk away with something from this program. So, you know, we've been looking at slide decks. We've been having people able to practice presenting them, you know, for many weeks, ever since we received the session from Looney about the slide deck. So we want everybody to be able to have that. So you can upload it. It'll be easy. And someone from our team, which will be Samuel, myself, or another WRI staff member, will get back to you with written comments on how you can improve it. Most likely we'll have comments for almost everybody. So you'll then be able to upload your changes as well. And we want those uploaded by August sometime. Now, again, the main part of this whole thing is we want to give you the money. It's a grant. It's from the Swedish Development Agency, made possible through our partnership with AUDA-NEPAD, which is the Africa Union Development Agency, new partnership for African development. So we want you to have this money. So we are requiring these little steps ahead of time, just as a way to help you guys make sure you get some feedback from us and have something that you can walk away with and use as you continue your journeys. So that's the $5,000 grant. So some people said, awesome, I also want to be included in the second phase of the Land Accelerator. And so for those who might not have remembered so much, the second phase is going to be a time where you get to have mentorship, where we're going to do pitch practicing. We're going to have at least 3 pitch practice sessions with many mentors in the room giving feedback so that people can improve each time. We're going to organize an impact day where we're inviting investors from across Africa to provide feedback, but also perhaps open those kind of conversations for you. So we're inviting the top 10 to 15 who apply to join us for that phase. So then if you want to apply to have those kind of benefits, then we require a few more things, which is not actually too much. One of them is that video tour that we're speaking about today, which is the tour of your facilities, of your team, of your company. The other thing is we'd like a link to your website. So we'd like everybody to have a website. We had, I think, about half of the folks have a website right now. So anyone who wants to go further, develop a website. We kind of went over that earlier. It doesn't have to have your special domain name, because you can always purchase that later, but we'd like you to have a website so you can start to use that as a place to promote yourself. And so those are the 2 additional things you'll need to do in order to apply for phase 2. And so then we'll be checking out all the people who apply for phase 2, who send us their videos, who send us their websites. And that's going to give us, again, a great place to provide additional feedback for you and a great place for us to prepare our mentors to get to know your companies better, and a great place for us to get to create listings for potential investors to get to know you better. So that's why we're doing this. It's really to provide awesome launchpad for you guys to display yourself to the network of investors. So I think that's enough details for now. And you can see on this document that I have shown here that there's plenty of details there, so that a lot of questions you have, you can check out the main points about dates, about tips on how to do this. And one last thing I wanted to also bring to your attention is we are creating a modest alumni fund. So the alumni fund is eligible for folks who achieve our phase 2. So the 10 to 15 folks who are admitted into phase 2 will be eligible, as well as the 26 companies that we've worked with in the past 2 years, in 2018 and 2019, that we've had the Land Accelerator. So that's going to be a small fund where we anticipate making 3 to 5 investments of $10,000 to $50,000. So that's another reason why you might want to also get that video created and come to phase 2, because we're actually bringing together a few sources of fundings ourselves. So I think that might tie us up, and I'm going to stop talking and put it back to Samuel, and perhaps, well, actually, maybe before Samuel, if you have anything to say to that kind of presentation that Samuel and I actually prepared that earlier this week.
Yeah, that was good. I'm looking forward to seeing the details on that on Thursday. So just note, everyone, you'll see that on Thursday. And then someone had a really good question in the chat window, which is, what if there are a few members on the same org and we shared attendance? But basically, what if different people from the same org showed up on different weeks?
I'm going to let Samuel answer that, because he's been going through all these attendance sheets.
Yes, thanks so much, Amanda. Good to mention that we have seen quite a number of people from different organizations attending 1 or 2 or even more. So what happens on that? We are actually looking, I remember when we were starting, we did ask you to mention the person who is going to be attending, as well as the other person who will actually join. We had actually given that opportunity for at least 2 people to join. So that's what we are checking on. But what we'll actually do is once we are through with the leaderboard, where we have highlighted how you have been attending the class, we'll give you an opportunity to check whether you attended, and perhaps we missed to actually record you. So we should do this perhaps on Thursday or Tuesday next week. Yes, thank you. I hope I've answered the question.
I think so. So that sounds really great. And I think we've got about 1 minute left. Looney, you might need to leave right on time. So if you had any closing remarks, and then Samuel and I can stick on and address any other questions.
My closing remark is that I've taught this many times. It sounds easy when I'm speaking it out. It's easy if you've done it 10 times. When you go to do it, it's a little harder than you think. To make it look good enough to share with the world is not an easy thing to do. And most people, when they hit that moment where, oh my God, like I need to shoot this today, what am I actually going to do? They just wind up not doing it. So this is why we put it in the curriculum as part of this system, to give you an incentive to make it happen. So you have you have a grant dangling in front of you to make it happen. So hopefully that will be sufficient. If you get stuck, just make a video happen. Just get something done, right? Just get something out there that shows off your company that's a few minutes long. You can always do it again, right? Some of these were not the first attempt. Some of these you saw were the second or third try.
I think that's an awesome message, which is, listen, this is an opportunity to try something. It might be new, to try it for the first time, because that first time of doing something really creates a lot of momentum. So we want you to take advantage of this next month to bring something together and to really try it out. And, let's be real, we're your friends here. You don't have to feel like this isn't good enough. We want to take a look at it, learn from you, share some thoughts. But anything that you create is going to be better than nothing, because right now, many people who don't have videos up there, like Looney said, they haven't visited you. They won't be able to visit you right now, especially during COVID. So this is really a great opportunity to do some outreach. So I want to say thanks for that, Looney, and have a good one. And we'll be in touch with you, Looney, about the following weeks. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye. And I just wanted to check now that we're officially kind of at time, if there's any other questions that we saw here. I do see a question with Solomon. Solomon says they're under lockdown due to COVID-19. Taking videos for businesses might be a challenge at this time. Hey guys, every country's different. I don't know what lockdown looks like, but I know some people are operating during lockdown because you're essential businesses. So like we're saying, these videos shouldn't actually be too hard. If you're doing something anyway, take your cell phone with you. That being said, I don't know what's happening in every country right now. And I might rather have Samuel, who's based in Kenya, to answer what he's experienced and what he might think from a Kenya point of view.
Yes, thanks, Amanda. I believe we live in a very unprecedented time. Things keep on changing. And I believe it would be fair to just understand everybody's context. So if Uganda, you're in a lockdown and you're not in a position, then we might be in a position to craft something to actually accommodate you. But having said that, I'm looking at Solomon, and I know Uganda, they're in, should be 42 days lockdown. And I don't know how long we have till the end of the application or even the review. We might review, and along the way, we ask you to actually send us the video. So we'll actually customize something to actually fit everyone, and especially where COVID-19 is coming in to disrupt everything that we have. Yeah. So thanks so much, Solomon, for sharing that. So in case there is such an occurrence, feel free to reach out. always do something. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you can always come up with some sort of video. So you have to do what you can. If you can't go here, but you can go there, go what you can. If you have to video something in your house and you have your mom record you, you know, you can always come up with some video. And the real truth is any video that you can get is better than nothing. So even if like the lowest form of video would be you turning on your Zoom and talking in front of it, like, and recording yourself or something, you know, and that would be better than nothing. So there will be a way for you guys to make some kind of a video. That is very sad, Nelson, that folks are not able to go to their farms to do farming. What can I say? That sounds like a bad response from the government to me, but you know, that, yeah, obviously we don't want to make that be the difference. So folks can't really go anywhere. Videotape yourself while you can. Yeah, compassion for everybody that's having to do that. And let me see if there was any other questions. I know Legrand had a question. I'm so sorry, Legrand, that that time got short. And if you'd like to ask it, you can ask me in the chat or you can ask it here. And just seeing if there was any other big questions that we had today. But everybody, you know.
Amanda, si vous me donnez la parole, écrire c'est plus long que parler. Surtout que je tente d'écrire en anglais. Ma question, c'est presque une suggestion. Est-ce que Land Accelerator prévoit à poster toutes les vidéos, pas seulement les vidéos des gens qui vont être sélectionnés? Poster ça quelque part, une façon d'appuyer et de vendre aussi, faire un peu de marketing pour tout le monde, quoi, parce que quelqu'un peut ne pas être sélectionné pour ces projets, mais un opérateur économique peut tomber sur sa vidéo et entrer en contact avec lui. Merci.
Well, I think, Legrand, I think that sounds like a really great idea. So what will we do with all of these different videos? And to my mind, I think that sounds like a great idea. So we didn't actually think about that yet. So which means that we've got a month and a half to figure it out. And we'll probably be talking with our communications manager here to see some of his ideas. But I know particularly what I was planning to do for some of the companies is, you remember that database that we created for you, and I'll send a link to it, is that I was going to add in links to people's profiles that are there, so that when we send this list of 100 companies to people, they can then see your videos there. So that's a really great idea. That the other thing that's interesting is when you are putting, so there's a link to the database again, and please, everybody, feel free to check out the chat box and click open that link that I just sent, because again, you can write and contact anybody who's in this cohort that might be interesting to you. But so I was thinking to add the links that you guys provide us to these profiles so that anyone who sees it can then check out your video. The thing that might be tough is, well, it's not tough, but when you post it on your own channel, you know, that's your video and you own it. So we'd have to see about, I don't think we can do it for 100 people. So we'll just take the links that you guys provide us and use those links. But then again, when we get down to the top 10 or 15 people, we might be able to do a little something else where they send us the MP4s and we're able to natively put that into a special channel that we create here at WRI. So we'll have to see about that, but we can definitely utilize the YouTube links that people are going to create and send into us in order to promote them in a different way. So I think that's a fantastic idea, and we'll see about how we can do that. And then, oh, I had another question that I saw a few times, which is if you already have videos, can those work? I'm going to say most likely not, because the type of video we're looking for here is, like we said, a site visit video, so not really commercial. However, it might be. So So you just can send us the link when you apply. And honestly, if it looks just like a commercial or something, it's not going to be the right format. If it is one of these more formatted, that's more like a tour where you can see different people involved in your value chain, you can see the production happening, or you can see your field or your farms. If it has more of that authentic feel we're going for in a site visit, then that should be fine. So maybe people even have some of those videos, and that would be great. But we're not going to count on it. So I think that's maybe a little bit of an answer. So, we'll have a space for a link on the sign up form, and you can put your link there. We're going to look at every video. So and we are giving revisions and suggestions to people who send in their video and their slide decks. So for instance, the revision might be, hey, this is a commercial. So I don't know if you want to wait around. If you have more of a commercial, you have more of a 30-second to 2-minute video that Looney was talking about that's more polished, that might not be what we're looking for. But if you're Catherine, and like you're saying, you have a lot of these and people have been telling you it doesn't look so polished, this might be what we're looking for here. Tie it all together and see what happens. That's what my suggestion would be, is just to think about what the point of the video is, to inform someone who wants to get to know you more. So I think something else that we can go off of from these 2 videos is Looney might have explained to us that the 30-second commercial is supposed to grab someone's attention. Well, for us, the pitch that we're doing on Impact Day in front of investors is supposed to grab people's attention. How do you grab people's attention? By showing them a great story and by showing them that you're investable, that you've moved product and you're looking to grow. And so if you can show them that in the pitch, then this video that we're asking you to produce is going to be more of that background that they can look at and say, okay, I can actually believe what this person was saying, because I can see, for instance, the women here sitting, cleaning the potatoes and putting them in the box. I can see the fields. I can see the house and the pigs that she bought with her earnings, stuff like that. So that's just what I wanted to say, is make it, I think that was an answer. Yeah. And Samuel, thanks for the attendance link one more time. We've been putting that through periodically. So if you haven't filled it out, go ahead. And, we are compiling that big list right now. And we're really happy that many folks have been joining us each week. And we're really encouraged when people say things like, oh my gosh, each session is better, so that makes us feel happy. So we really hope that this is a, beneficial program for everyone who's joining. And maybe with that note, I'd like to ask maybe Teco and then Samuel to share some messages before we leave. Yes, hi Teco.
Hi Amanda and everyone. So today was exciting in that it was the subject matter that I specialize in. In their smartphones, there's an app called Filmic Pro for filming, and for editing, there's one called Luna Fusion. So you can utilize those for your material. So if you are a French-speaking colleague and you want to do your video in French, as long as you have your transcripts written down in French, I think we can find a way to translate those into English, and you use the subtitles so that you don't redo your videos to suit the English market. I think we've come to realize that subtitles satisfy a lot of the audience that do not understand the language that is your native language. So please, for all the documents, please do fill, and whatever information that's required from you, please provide it to us, because that's really pivotal for the success of this cohort and for those that are willing to sign up for the second phase. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to come and interact with you all, and I highly appreciate your commitment to restoring the landscapes of the continent. Thank you.
And Teiko, before you leave, I got Luma Fusion. I got the website for that. What was the other technology you told us about? We'll put it on Mighty Networks for everybody to find.
It's Filmic Pro.
Filmic. Okay, great. I'll look it up. And then over to Samuel.
Okay, my email address, everyone, is tikoh@nepat.org. tiko@nepat.org.
Is that it?
Yes.
There we go.
Merci beaucoup.
À vous, à vous.
À vous, à vous.
For Samuel, please.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Teko, and thanks so much to everyone who did find to actually attend today's session. I believe it was actually helpful. I think the best thing is actually to go on the ground, just do it, and yeah, reach out for help if you need one. So for our next class, we'll actually be focusing on branding and packaging. So we'll have an exciting trainer who will actually help us to differentiate between a product and a brand. Also talk about the different packaging material that you can have and how that can actually help you to be competitive. So welcome to our next class, that is on Tuesday. But don't forget, we normally have our office hour every Thursday from 6 to 7 East Africa time. So you're most welcome. And we'll actually deep dive on the requirement for phase 2, as well as any question that you might have on the program, as well as also focus on how do you even post on YouTube. So we'll actually show you how to do that. And maybe go through some of these applications that you've been. So thank you so much, and see you then.
Perfect.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Merci à tous. Thanks, everybody.
I tried my French, Amanda.
I'll get better someday.
Merci. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
French.
Thank you, everybody.
Merci.
Bye, everybody. Really appreciative.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Till we meet again.